We're really excited today to have a guest with us. I'm Stacy King with Agentero, and welcome to our peer-to-peer training. We're excited about this one because this is a new series that we've started here where we're talking to some of our agents that we work with who we've been really impressed with how they've used our platform and just some cool things that they're doing within their agencies and of their own accord, of course. We just felt like this was one that other agency principals or producers would love to see. And so I'd like to, at this time, welcome Cameron Brown. Cameron is president of Insurance Brokers of Arizona and moderninsurance.io. Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you, Stacy. Happy to be on here and help any agents I can.
We're loving it. We're just excited about it. Everyone is muted just so that we don't have any background noise. But of course, if you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat and I will be monitoring the chat for Cameron. And I'll make sure that I give him your questions as we can. Of course, I don't want to interrupt your flow, so I'll try to wait until you take a breath or have a small break. So take it away, Cameron.
Awesome. Sounds good. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Hopefully you can get some tidbits out of this. I'm just going to go through and explain my background. First of all, I think any speaker should always give their background so you guys know who you're talking to. They're just not a fly-by-night agent. Then I'm going to go into, starting an insurtech agency and then how I structured it, carriers and options. Be happy at the end to take any questions as well. So started off my background. I went to school for engineering, lost my job after 9/11. My dad told me to get into sales. So I asked him what the best sales job would be. He said insurance. 20 some years later, I agree with him. Insurance is the best industry in this country. I went and worked for a couple of captive agents for 3 years. Between 2002 and 2005, a couple of the big names, State Farm and Allstate. Worked for a startup agent there, and then worked for 2 seasoned agencies. So learned a lot of, the captive side. Thought I was going to open up my own captive agency with one of the big names. After 3 years there, I decided I needed to go independent. The broker side was where I needed to be. So in 2005, I joined an aggregator / franchisee network to gain access to all the carriers and started my own independent agency from scratch, which is Insurance Brokers of Arizona. So started that in 2005. First couple of years did internet leads just like everybody else starting up back in the day. Referral networking, shaking hands. By 2007, we had enough referrals coming in the door that we stopped purchasing internet leads. That was the last time that I paid for any leads, was 2007. So 2008, I ended up separating from that franchise network and then started getting my direct appointments with all the carriers. And during that process, I started asking some of the carriers for a QBI link. A link where I could send customers and consumers and prospects to quote, bind and issue their own policies. You imagine 15 years ago, the looks I got, they thought I was crazy for even suggesting that. Why would we ever let a customer quote, bind and issue their own policy? So a couple of them kind of, talked to me about it, nothing big, they just wanted my ideas. So then 2010 to 2015, I slowly started seeing some new, more insurtech style carriers pop in, and then they'd collapse, they'd fail, they'd go out of the market. So it just kept happening and everything, which I was excited about because at least some agents or some insurance carriers were starting to go that route. 2016 and 2018, those 3 years, you started seeing some carriers starting to stick, the Lemonades of the world, the Hippos and all them. They started to build their platforms, build their policy language, and they started to get it right. So I kept eyes on all of them, kept tabs, kept talking to them, followed them all. And then in 2021, I decided that the timing was right for me to start an insurtech agency alongside Insurance Brokers of Arizona. Mind you, Insurance Brokers of Arizona, it's grown. We're a $12 million premium agency right now, over $1.5 million in revenue. And I've got 14 agents working for me at Insurance Brokers of Arizona. It's set up a little different than most models. There are 0 producers. They're all handling the incoming leads I've generated over the years. Okay. So we've built it completely by referral and SEO driven. So the reasoning for me to start this insurtech agency was, first thing you've got to do is you got to figure out a reason why. You know, is it just to add on and complement your existing agency? Do you want complete digital? So it's mostly hands off down the road. And then you got to build it from there. For me, it was twofold. You know, main reason was I wanted options down the road. You know, I figured out with growing Insurance Brokers of Arizona, once the personnel, you know, for me hit 8 employees, it started to become a lot of work for me. You know, a lot more stress involved with the staffing and personnel issues. So for me, it was just, I wanted other options. And I realized that with these insurtech carriers, I could probably run the same size agency with 1/3 of the staff if I ever had to. The other option down the road would be I could sell the traditional agency, Insurance Brokers of Arizona, and just run a purely digital, or sell them both, just run one. I mean, the options there just, it gave me a lot more options, you know. So what I decided to do was find a good platform. You know, I didn't want to mess with carriers. I wanted this digital agency to be easy, as stress-free as possible. So, you know, I connected with Agentero. They gave us access to all of the digital insurtech carriers that we wanted. We've got a few of them outside of Agentero direct as well. I decided I wanted everything completely separate from Insurance Brokers of Arizona. So I structured it like it's its own entity, its own platforms, everything. However, with that, I do utilize the same employees and resources into that as we're starting up moderninsurance.io. So at some point here, probably in the next year or so, we'll end up having full staff on that side and everything strictly, you know, free from Insurance Brokers of Arizona. But I decided that it was going to be insurtech only. We're not going to have the Progressives or the Travelers or any of the other traditional carriers in there. I wanted everything in there to be fast, simple, and smart, knowing that down the road, those insurtech carriers are going to make it even easier. They're going to have those QBI portals out there. They're going to have those direct API integrations for whatever you want to do. So from there, you know, you got to look at the carriers, make sure that they're on board with what your vision is. And then look at there's several different platform aggregators out there. Agentero is one of them that I think is probably the best, you know, out there. One of the beauties of it, though, is in the independent agency world, you guys can build and structure your agencies however it works and makes sense for you. You know, we're not captives. We're not told what we need to do. You just got to do your due diligence, map it out, and, you know, run with it. To date, we started moderninsurance.io last June, so we're coming up on 1 year. We launched it. We have about $750,000 in premium through those insurtech carriers at the moment. We've gotten our commissions are starting to hit, you know, $8,000-9,000 a month now, you know, $6,000 to $9,000 regularly. So it's starting to really take hold. I do believe that the more the insurtechs are around and they dial things in, they're going to grab a larger market share. There's that younger generation that they don't want to talk to agents as much. You know, they want it fast. They want it quick. They want it now, you know. So that was my thinking in building that separately. It wasn't obviously for right now to have this big thing, but it is going to get there. It's progressing with the insurtech field and everything. So 3 years from now, 4 years from now, maybe even not. I mean, insurtechs move fast. We'll be able just to drive consumers to that agency, and I'm guessing 90% of it's going to be driven by the consumer. They're going to be doing most of it. We're going to be more of a marketing agency and then a little bit of service help. So, I mean, that in a nutshell was my thinking behind it. Stacy, that went a lot quicker than I thought going through that, but we can open it up for questions or whatever.
Yeah, by all means. I know in particular, you and I have talked about your close ratio and what you're using the digital agency for, that you're kind of using it as a cross-sell opportunity agency where you've got your traditional agency, you service your traditional agency like you would otherwise, but then tell us how you kind of introduce this new agency and this new platform into your current client base.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. When we saw Agentero's platform, they've got a portion in there called opportunities. They will comb your existing book of business and find opportunities that you do not currently have for your existing customers. So we'll send a report in there, their team throws it into their algorithm, and then it spits out on their dashboard these rental properties that our customers have that we don't insure. It's their autos that we don't insure, but we have their homeowners. I mean, it scrapes the web. I don't know their algorithm, but it scrapes everything and comes back with these opportunities that we didn't have. And it's our existing customers. So with that, we created a new role within our agency for a cross-sell agent. Their entire job is to sit there and go through and comb these new opportunities. I call it the easiest sales job in the world. I mean, it's current customers. We've got over here, oh, look, we've got their auto and home here, but look, they've got 3 rental properties. Oh, that's easy. That's an easy pickup phone, call them. They know who you are, boom, done. So we've been doing that for a few months now. We're closing at an 85% ratio, guys. So it's easy. It's
Really
easy
impressive.
picking.
Yeah. As far as having why the 2 agencies other than the obvious, and what were your pitfalls? Have you found any pitfalls since starting all of this?
What I found in the traditional agency, when I really started to dive into our data, we are spending so much time servicing policies after the sales team issues it. You guys get those underwriting requests and everything after the policy is issued. It drives me nuts. It's like, you guys already underwrote this. We already bound it. We took money. It's issued. Quit asking me for more stuff. Do it all up front. So even some of our carriers that we write a lot of business with that pay the higher commissions, I'm finding that it's costing me $100,000 or more just to service the damn book of business, because of everything that they're asking for. Insurtech carriers, obviously, there's a lot less that goes in after that you issue that policy. There's virtually nothing. And then the customers can go on the apps and go direct with a lot of them and do their own service requests. So it's just watch your data and see where you're getting, where the funnel is getting clogged, basically.
Yeah, there's not a lot of back and forth. There's not a lot of questions. No. It's just instant, which is kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
when you've already got the business, so that's cool.
Absolutely.
I see that we have a couple more that are joining. For any of you who have joined late, we are recording this, so I'll try to make sure that I shoot out the recording to all of you who registered. We appreciate you registering ahead of time. This won't be a very long training. We just wanted to make sure that if you all had questions on why you may want to look at splitting your book of business and kind of, well, not even your book of business, it's splitting the lead sources, if you would, and how you're going to process those leads through your agency. That's kind of why we have Cameron on. He's taken a very unique stand with this. We haven't seen many of our agencies kind of do it this way, which is why it intrigued me. What would you say your staff's reaction has been to this process? Are they on board? Do they feel like it's helping?
They were nervous at first, not knowing what was going to happen with the traditional agency. Obviously with a staff of 14 or 15 agents now, when we launched it, they were a little nervous. But once I showed them the carriers that we had on the insurtech side, went through the most of those apps and how quick and easy it was, they all jumped on board. I mean, their favorite carriers are our insurtech carriers, and that goes for the sales team and the service team. The service team wants the sales team to put everybody through there. So yeah, I mean, it's so hands off after the sale, and just everything is easy. Our tagline on moderninsurance.io is fast, simple, smart. That's all we care about for the customer. Fast, simple, smart, you know? So yeah, the team jumped on board real quick.
Yeah. The cool thing is that, you know, we work in that world of insurtech, but you and I have had this conversation before that we truly feel like it's a hybrid approach that really works best, because there are going to be clients that need to speak with an agent at times, and they're going to want to speak with an agent, especially on a claim situation. They're going to at least want to have a conversation typically. But as far as just making sure that you can be the best to your clients when they need you to be, and get information in their hands quickly, and like you said, fast and simple with very little friction. That's where the digital carriers come into play. We love our traditional carriers. We're starting as well to bring some of those on board, as you know, but we also love the fact that the simplicity of the system, where it just works and it just does some work for you.
Yeah. Even with new prospects to your agency, you know, we train our agents to go to one of the insurtech carriers. You can pull all the household information within 30 seconds, just name and address. And 90% of the time it pulls all the household information. I mean, the response on the other end of that phone, when you're just confirming what vehicles they have and the drivers versus them having to give you all that information, is just overwhelming. I mean, you're making it easy for them from the get-go. Yeah. So just makes that closing ratio go up quite a bit. It builds that rapport a lot faster. It's a good experience all around for the client.
Yeah. I mean, I know, you know, I look at my own situation and I always think what could have been improved on that purchase, on anything. And it goes back to the amount of time that I have to spend preparing information or providing information and doing research, when I feel like, you know, that person's getting a sale, maybe put that back in their, you know, on their desk. Anything else that you feel that is important to share? I know we talked just a little bit about, you know, carriers. Would you like to share anything about the difference between direct and aggregator, or kind of how that I guess relationship works within the agency?
Yeah, I mean, we've got all of our carriers are direct, you know, through Insurance Brokers of Arizona. You know, after early on in my career being part of that franchise network and everything, it just the aggregator route was no longer appealing to me, you know. Right. So, but on the insurtech side, it just, again, I was trying to make life simpler for me going forward after growing this thing to where we have. So it made more sense for me to join Agentero, their platform with access to their carriers. It just took one thing off my plate that I didn't want to deal with. So, you know, that's where I'm at. Like I said, the nice thing about being independent, you can do whatever works best for you, where you're at in your stage. What is working for you now makes sense. 5 years, 8 years down the road, you may rethink it and change it up, and that's okay. You know, the key is just to always be, you know, on that right path to do what you want and what you think.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you can kind of look at what you want out of your agency and kind of design it that way. We encourage everyone who is here with Agentero for the first time that if you have questions about us or about the platform or about anything having to do with Agentero, you know, feel free to shoot those over in the chat, and myself or Cameron could try to help you with that information. We can always get you additional resources as well after the call. And then if you all are clients and you're working with us already and you have platform questions, you can always reach out to us. We love to have information from those who we're working with, because again, you know, in insurtech, it's fluid. And sometimes it's always nice to have feedback from our clients to say within your particular agency what works and what isn't working, and suggestions on what you would do different. We have a great product team. We have a great engineering team that work with us on that as well. So I will let you have it for one more second. I've got a question coming over. Bear with me.
If there's anything I can do to help any of you guys, feel free to reach out to me. Easiest way is going to be Cameron at modernins.io. That's my email. Cameron at modernins.io. Okay. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll do whatever I can do to help. I've mentored some younger agents over the course of the last 5 years. I really enjoy helping and giving back. I didn't have that when I was starting out. So, I'm here to help now that I've been in the industry for so long.
Terrific. I've got a question. What about your quoting process? And then tell us kind of a little bit more about that.
Sure. Quoting process. We have some prospects that come in through the Modern Insurance website. A lot that come through our traditional Insurance Brokers of Arizona sites. It's no rocket science. I'm trying to teach the agents to initially take the call. First things you get are, name, address. Throw that into one of the insurtech carriers. I think, what is it, Branch, that pulls it back, everything out of that household the first 30 seconds. And then, just confirm all the information with the customer so they don't have to go through their VIN number and all that with you. And then from there, we let them know we've got so many carriers. So we throw it through our radar, which has a lot of the insurtech carriers on there as well. So we'll throw it through the normal, and then wherever it fits, it fits. If they come through Modern Insurance, we know they want fast, simple, smart. So we really look at those carriers because that's what they're after. If it comes through Insurance Brokers of Arizona, we pretty much keep it open to all platforms. So that's our quote process in a nutshell.
From Daniel, who in Arizona. Daniel wants to know, what are your top auto insurtech carriers?
The top auto insurtech carriers would probably be Branch and Clear Cover.
Oh, and then he also asked about home.
Home is going to be openly, hands down, openly. Perfect. Yeah, their platforms are just super simple and easy, and they've got the rates here in our state are dialed in as well.
Yeah, terrific. And then Mike wants to know, how frequently are you having to touch the insurtech clients?
Not much at all. We run the data reports through our management system and everything like that. And I can tell you that the insurtech carriers have 1/10 of the service that our traditional carriers have. So that's why my team is really wanting everybody to be on the insurtech carriers.
Great. And then from Jason, from Rolando Graham, who is the builder of the moderninsurance.io website?
The builder for Modern Insurance. He's gonna hate me for throwing this out there. I use Tostin Marketing out of Seattle, Washington. He's awesome. We've utilized him for both of our websites. He's huge with SEO and everything. I reached out to him in 2016 to rebuild our Insurance Brokers of Arizona site. At that time, we only wrote about $150,000 a year in premium from SEO, from people finding us. We're up over $1.5 million every year now, based on SEO driven, prospects. So yeah, Tostin Marketing, he does awesome. He keeps an exclusive for his clients in the geographical areas as well. So he may or may not be available for you in his area.
Perfect. And I'm sure that they'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've got another one from Steven Sauer. Do you quote directly from your website? Any website recommendations specifically?
Quoting direct from our website is not there yet. We're trying to get the QBI links from each of the carriers. Currently, I believe we only have 1 or 2. The rest of them are working on it, and most of them do have those QBI links on their roadmap. So not directly quoting from the website yet. What was the second part to that, Stacy?
Any website recommendations, and you kind of touched on that a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next one we also covered, I know, Dick Davidson rather said, is there a platform that you're using for quoting? And I know that we talked about that earlier as well. So hopefully that'll be in our original recording. And then another gentleman, Mr. Chandler, asked, forgive me for not knowing this. It seems as if the insurtech's niche is home insurance. Do you all offer auto insurance? And of course we do. You mentioned one of the carriers. There are several that we work with, and we're happy to talk with you.
Yeah, there's insurtech carriers for all lines of business. You got auto, all the personal lines. You got the auto, the home. You've also got flood. You've also got small business as well. So you can really surround your agency with that.
Yeah. And then Daniel had asked about what carriers that you had right now. You mentioned several of them on the call. I don't know if you mentioned all of them, but feel free to add any that you don't think. Let me see.
Yeah, we've got about 8 or 10 of them, like Clear Cover, Openly, Hippo, a couple of life ones like Haven Life. We've got a couple of flood. We've got Coterie for commercial, Lemonade, Pie for work comp. Yeah, go on website moderninsurance.io, and I think it's got most of them listed there.
Terrific. Yep. And then I've got here, let me see. In regards to, this is from Greg Locke, by the way, in regards to the old traditional carriers versus these carriers such as Lemonade, Hippo, et cetera, what do you find in regards to their premiums?
Premiums vary by the risk. The insurtech carriers, though, for the most part, have it dialed in. There's a couple of them that we have a hard time writing because they're not dialed in our states. However, I have heard that they've got it dialed in other states. But as far as the rating goes, it just takes some time. They need the data and everything behind it. They figure it out, though. But for the most part, our insurtech carriers are right there within our top 5 carriers in our overall agency.
Terrific. And one of the gentlemen who I've already mentioned has, I guess, the Agentero platform, but doesn't quite understand what it does yet. And we find that a lot where people come to us for markets and they get the market, but then they kind of log in and they go, oh, what's this? And they kind of play around, but then they never do anything with it. So maybe explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, on the Agentero platform, what we use it for mostly is going to be the opportunities. So along the left sidebar, you'll see one of the selections for opportunities, which is where Agentero will need access to your current AMS, or you'll need to send in reports to them. At least that's the way I believe it is. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I know it's always updating, but once they have access to your existing book of business, they can throw it through their algorithm, and then it pops in these new opportunities in that section of their platform. So, I mean, like I'm pulling up mine, we've got 455 opportunities sitting there. It's telling us it's a policy recommendation for renters. We've got a couple dwelling fires in there, some homeowners, some life insurance. So they've scraped everything from the web, and they're presenting these basically on a silver platter for you from your current customers. And they're policies that you do not have in your agency as the data relates to your management system where they're pulling it from. So if you've got bad data there, you're gonna have bad data coming out. But if your management system's dialed in with good data, then this is all gonna be pretty accurate.
Yeah. And then also reporting on your commissions and all of that kind of stuff is just in one spot once you do start placing business, which is really
absolutely
nice and cool. And there's going to be a lot of other stuff. As we mentioned, the rater is coming. We've also got some automated messaging and marketing coming. So there's a lot of new things that are being unveiled through the platform. So we encourage those of you who are not using the platform right now to go ahead and start doing so, just so that you can kind of get familiar with it and then, do what you want with it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's there for you and it's free. That's the best part.
Yeah.
So Daniel has a question of valuation of insurtech carriers to resell. Seems like it's similar to traditional carriers. You have any comment on that?
I have no expertise in that. However, my thought process for that would be down the road, I believe that your valuations would be higher with the insurtech agency, and it's going to be based off of profitability. Like I mentioned in the earlier, I feel like I could run the same size agency as Insurance Brokers of Arizona, which is approaching 12 million in premium. We've got 14 or 15 agents. I could run that same size with probably a third of the staff. So with that being said, our profitability is larger, which means our EBITDA is larger, which is what the buyers are looking at. So I think it's going to be to our advantage, to have more insurtech carriers built into your agency.
Yeah, makes complete sense. And then lastly, I've got one from Gregory again. I'm newly licensed. Every carrier seems to want my book of business, yet few are appointing me. I don't know if he's mentioning specifically insurtech carriers, but could he get appointed? And just your thought process on that. I know I will also kick this back to our ADMs who can help him along with that process, because as you know, carriers can be a little fickle sometimes, but we have found that several of our insurtech carriers, several appoint pretty quickly and don't require as much upfront. Others can be very similar to those traditional carriers.
Yeah, it's going to be hit or miss with the carriers. I have found that the insurtech carriers seem to be a lot more lenient, in appointments. So you probably have a better chance of getting appointed with the insurtech carriers than you do with a lot of the traditional. A lot of your large name traditional carriers, they're going to have your volume commitments and requirements. You're going to have this big business plan, marketing plan. I mean, they're going to vet you out pretty good, and they do want to see a book of business and experience and history. But a lot of the insurtech carriers, I would think that you should have a much easier time getting on board with them.
Yeah. And I feel like once you did get on board, you could start kind of using the system to your advantage and using those opportunities to reach out to clients that it's unveiling opportunities within that one carrier's kind of appetite. And then once you start obviously building your book, then it's much easier to get additional carriers, as you've seen.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, good. I think that's it. Thank you again for your time.
Perfect.
Cameron.